A knife is one thing I can't live without. Anytime I go outside, I always do the check. Checking for your phone, your wallet, your keys, and of course, the knife. Now I know what a lot of people might be thinking. A knife? Really? But if you haven't carried a knife before, you need to. It is infinitely more handy than you've ever imagined. And if you just carry one for 1 week, you'll be hooked. I guarantee it. So you guys already know I love knives, and I have a lot of knives. I collect them. I'm an EDC. I have a problem. I'll be the first to admit it. I have a problem. So you might be wondering what I look for when I'm looking for a new everyday carry knife. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. I'm going to break down the couple things that I look for when I'm looking for a new knife to hopefully help you guys find your next perfect everyday carry knife. Alright, so one quick caveat is that there is no perfect everyday carry knife. There is no perfect knife. There's always going to be some little thing that you might not like or some little thing that people tend to judge, but what matters the most is that you love to use it, and the more you love it, the more you're going to use it. And I know there are some Ferrari knives out there. I mean, I have a couple of those, but the thing is that these knives are made to be used. It's like a Ferrari or a race car or a really nice motorcycle. If you keep it in the garage for too long, it's going to break down. It's not going to work how it's supposed to. You got to use these things. These are dying to be used. So use your All right, so number one is, of course, blade shape. There's a ton of different blade shapes out there. There's a drop point, reverse drop point, a modified drop point, a straight back, tanto, a clip, a reverse tanto, a spear point. The list goes on and on. There are a ton of different types of blades out there. But me specifically, I like two things in a knife. One is a tanto blade shape. That's this right here. Now, I personally think that a tanto blade shape is probably one of the most useful when it comes to an everyday carry knife. For me, having that, in a sense, two blade type thing really makes it super easy to use, makes it easy to get under things like zip ties or stuff like that. It also makes it really easy for precise use. I know that a lot of times I use this little point right here for cutting tape off boxes. Obviously you have the actual point, but I personally find that tanto blade shapes are, one, really beautiful looking, but two, really handy when it comes to an everyday carry knife. Plus, it looks like you have a samurai sword. Now, this knife right here is the Civivi Brazen. This is a beautiful knife. It's definitely one of my most used. As you can probably see, it is not clean, but I really do like it, and I would highly recommend it for anyone who hasn't gotten a Civivi before. Now, there is a second option that I really do love, and that is where it kind of gets a little bit more funky, should I say. And for me, that's a blade shape that looks insane and that most people probably won't have. And a perfect example is this right here. This is the Red Horse Knife Works Hellraiser, and this thing is absolutely insane. I love carrying this knife because no one else has this knife shape on them. Now, this is a cleaver style blade, but this is a very pronounced, I guess, cleaver style blade, and honestly, I think that it kind of reminds me of a Sweeney Todd razor, which I know can be a little iffy when it comes to everyday carry, but don't think about it like that. I just think it looks really cool, and it does kind of have a little bit of like a tanto angle in a sense. I don't know if you get that, but I also think that it is really easy to open things with. The tip right here is obviously perfect for getting Amazon boxes, whatever you have, whatever. This was probably my most carried blade in 2003, partially 2004. I think that since then I've gotten a lot more, and I've kind of haven't put this in the rotation, but I do really love this knife, and I will always love it for that example, because it just looks so freaking cool. And again, it looks cool. I like it. I'm gonna use it. Okay, number 2 is the actual mechanics of the knife, how it opens and how it closes. Now you have a ton of different things for both of those options. And I'm gonna go over one of them before I go over the other. First, how the knife opens. Most of these knives that I own have thumb studs. A thumb stud is this thing right here. And the reason it's called a thumb stud is because usually you use your thumb to flick it open, if that makes sense. Now, if this is your first knife, don't be discouraged if you can't get that flick right away. It took me a long time to actually understand how to do it. And now it's like second nature, to the point where I can even spidey flick a thumb stud. Now, along with the thumb stud, you also have things like a flipper, which is on this ProTech Malibu right here, and it's really easy. You have just the little flipper thing right there. And actually, the first knife that I ever really carried was a Gerber knife. I don't even know the type, but it was an assisted flipper. So flippers are also really easy, and that's something that you could look for as well. Obviously, you have a ton of different other options. For example, this Civivi Klingman has a front flipper, which is definitely something that is new for me. Actually, this knife was the first one that I had that had a front flipper, and I literally spent the whole day just trying to figure out how to do it well. And once I got that, it was just fidgety season all day. But that is another option that you can look for if you want. And then another option, of course, is the Spyderco circle thing, which is perfect for spidey flicks. That's what people call them. And I mean, that is just a fun way of opening a knife. Now, personally, I prefer knives that have a thumb stud. For some reason, I don't necessarily like using the normal flipper thing. And I think that's mainly because it's less fidgety for me. I prefer using a thumb stud because it just adds that fidget factor. It makes it a little bit more fun for me to use. And I don't know, I think that's just something that I've developed. So whenever I'm looking for a new knife, I like to see, okay, does it have a thumb stud? How easy it is for me to use the thumb stud? For example, going back to this Red Horse Knives Work P-Razor or Hellraiser, this does have a thumb stud, but the way you use the thumb stud is a little bit different. Instead of actually flipping up, you flip out. And that was something that I had to learn in order to properly use this knife the way I wanted to use it. I would recommend just finding something that you like to use, that's comfortable for you, that's easy for you, or that's fun for you. And again, the more you like it, the more you're gonna use it. I prefer a thumb stud or some sort of fidgety way of opening it. I also really do like the Spyderco flick because not a lot of people can do that. And when you can do that, it kind of looks kind of cool. And then going along with how to open the knife, how to close the knife. Now there are a ton of different locking mechanisms. For example, there's axis lock, there's frame lock, liner lock, there's the button lock. There are a lot of different ways of locking a knife or closing a knife. For example, on this ProTech Malibu, this just has a really simple button lock that you hold and the blade just drops down. Really simple, really easy, piece of cake. But if you want to get into something a little bit different, this Civivi Brazen that I'm bringing up again has something called a liner lock, which is a locking mechanism that's inside the two scales. Now, liner locks can be a little scary because you essentially are closing the blade on your thumb, but a lot of people don't realize that there is a way to do that that ensures that you don't hurt yourself. And that is to basically catch the blade on your thumb, move your thumb out of the way, and then close it properly. The more you use the knife, the more you get used to it, the easier it gets, and you don't have to worry about things like cutting yourself. Then going on, you have the frame lock. So this Big Idea Designs TI Pocket Knife 2 is a frame lock knife. Now this is very similar to a liner lock, but instead of having the inside liner having the locking mechanism, it's actually built into the scales, the frame of the knife. And so it's very simple as well. You just do the same thing where you push it to the side, move your thumb, and you close it. And then if you guys are Benchmade fans, obviously Benchmade are the guys that really perfected the axis lock, and that is pretty much this little button doodah thing right here that you pull down and the knife closes. Kind of like a button lock, but it's a little bit different. Now, a lot of other companies also have a version of the axis lock, like this NAF's Lander 2. It has a different version of that, which is still really nice. Typically, I really like using either a liner lock or a axis lock. I'm not a big fan of frame locks, mainly because sometimes when I use them, I find that the way I hold the knife, it's actually harder for me to open the frame Now that just might be me. If you talk to people about knives and people who are really into the EDC culture, everyone has an opinion. People are going to be saying that if you don't like frame lock, you're doing it wrong. If you like flipper tabs, you're doing it wrong, or whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is you find something that you like to use. And again, the more you like it, the more you're going to use it. So for me personally, I like a liner lock or a access lock. But at the end of the day, I mean, as long as I can do it easily and I feel comfortable doing it, then it's not really a problem for me. And by the way, I absolutely hate slip joints. I can't stand them. They're not fidgety. They're not cool. I feel like an old man when I open them, and I just don't like slip joints. Someone make a slip joint that I like and I don't know, I'll buy it, but I don't like them. I don't know why. Okay, number 3 is obviously the handle, what you actually grip onto the knives. Now, this can go into a lot of different discussions and arguments and stuff like that, but what matters is what you like and what you feel is comfortable. Now, for example, going back to this TI Pocket Knife 2, these have grade 5 titanium scales. Now, the scales are the things that actually are the majority of what you hold the knife with. It's the outer part right here. Now, this has titanium scales and they look beautiful, but some people might argue that there's not enough texture on there. It might slip out of your hands. So then you can upgrade or downgrade, depending on what you are, to scales like these G10 scales that are on this Civivi knife right here. Obviously, you have some brass scales. You have different types of scales on different types of knives. Honestly, what matters is that you like what you're using, you find it comfortable in your hands, and it's easy for you to hold. Now, I have a ton of different options here. I have relatively small hands. This is a big knife. This is the Benchmade 710, and it is a massive knife. Open, it's 8 inches. Close, it's 4 inches. So it's a big knife, but I still like it because I think the handle is very comfy, and that's why I prefer carrying this over some other knives. This Lander 2 is a special collab with Pete's Pirate Life, and these have brass scales. So this knife is heavy as, but I love the brass scales. It is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful, and I will carry it because I love it so much. So that is one reason why I would carry this. Now, this Spyderco right here, this is the Spyderco Para 3. I am actually looking to replace these, I believe, G10 scales with some brass scales because I think it would look really cool. There are a lot of different things that you can do with the knives that you have, and also there are a lot of different aftermarket things that you can do with whatever you have. Personally, I like something with a little bit of texture. I'm not the biggest carbon fiber fan, except when it comes to this custom Benchmade bailout that I made with Benchmade. For me, as long as it looks good, it feels good in the hand, it's really simple for me. I'm not too caught up in the specs. Okay, number 4 is of course color. If you guys know me, I like all black everything. I feel like Batman sometimes. You know, my first real knife was this Benchmade bug out, and yes, it's the all black bug out, black scales, black blade, black hardware. I think it looks really sleek. It looks really cool. And I've kind of stuck with that for a lot of different knives that I've owned. But since owning a lot of different ones, I've decided, okay, I kind of want to branch out a little bit. So I'll go for something that has like brass scales, or, you know, just have a little fun. I have these green scales with this Damascus type steel. There's a lot of different colors and a lot of different variations when it comes to knives. Now, for example, this Lander 2 that I talked about has obviously brass scales, but it has a stonewash blade. That basically means that there is a texture to the blade. It's not just this straight satin blade like this Spyderco. Again, it goes back to the same thing of if you like it, you're going to use it. So pick something out that you like and you'll use it. So for me, that's probably going to be all black, but I am starting to get into a titanium kick. For example, I have this all titanium Benchmade custom Osborne with titanium scales and hardware, and then is this a stonewash blade? I think it might be. You know, it's whatever floats your boat. Okay, and number 5 is of course the fidget factor. That is a huge aspect to knives. If you're going to have a everyday carry knife, you're probably going to end up fidgeting with it. There are times where I'm having a conversation with someone and I'll take out my knife and start flipping it around, and then I have to stop the conversation and be like, by the way, this is just me when I talk. I tend to do this, so don't be scared or anything. I like to fidget, and people are like, oh yeah, no, I figured that. For example, this knife is the TI Outlook. That is a Peace Pirate Life collab, and this one is just super fidgety. It is super easy to open and close, and honestly, ever since I've gotten this, I've just been, you know, all day, every day. Obviously, Spyderco's are really fidgety. It's just fun to use. I think this Civivi Brazen is probably one of my most fidgety knives because it has multiple ways of opening it. You can even just, you know, do that. There are so many different ways to open a knife. So I think what matters is it fidgety? Is it comfortable in the hand? Is it something that you're going to use? Do you like taking it out of your pocket? If that is something that you like to do, you're going to take it out of your pocket more often. You're going to use it, and you're going to put the miles that your knife deserves on it. If you get a knife, use the knife. Please, I beg of you. These things are machines. They're made to be used. I know that some of these cost a lot of money. They cost money because they're made well, and they're going to serve the purpose and function that you're going to need it for. A lot of these knives could potentially save your life. You never know. So for example, I have a couple automatics. Now, obviously, when it comes to automatic knives, and when it comes to all knives in general, make sure you obey your local knife laws and stuff like that. But here in Idaho, I can carry an automatic, and you know, I like carrying this sometimes. Personally, I don't feel like it has that fidget factor enough, so I typically don't carry this as much as I want to. There is a time and place where I'd like to carry this, so it just depends on what I'm using it for. Now, one thing you might notice is that I'm not actually talking about really specific specs. Now, I know you can get into blade steel. For example, there's like S90V, M4, Magna Cut, stuff like that. And people get very passionate about their blade steels. It gets it. People get heated. I'm telling you, read comment sections, find a knife and just look at people's comments. They get heated. They also get heated about scales and the materials that are used in the scales. They get heated about everything. Everyone has an opinion. What matters is that I like the knife that I'm using. Now, I don't really care a whole lot about blade steels and stuff like that. This knife is an M390 steel. I'm gonna be honest, half the time I don't even know what that means. This Benchmade S30V. I had to literally find it and read it. I don't really remember it. So if you want to go into the science of it, go for it. It's really interesting. It's fascinating actually, because all these knives take time to make, and they are works of art, honestly, in a sense. Like this 710 is one of the most beautiful knives that I've ever owned. It has an M390 blade. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't care. I care that I like it and I'm going to use it. So that's the thing. As long as it serves the function that I have for it and is aesthetically pleasing to me and I find joy in it, that is what matters. And so those are some things that I think about every single time I get a new knife or I hold a new knife. Is it something that I'm going to actually like and use? I know it is a very kind of weird thing to say. I know I've said it a lot, but honestly, if you like it, you're gonna use it, and you should use your knives because they are works of art, but they are also tools. They help get the job done. If you're not gonna use the knife that you carry, then don't carry it. Don't buy it. Buy something that you're gonna carry. Buy a cheaper knife that you're gonna carry and use because you're gonna get more use out of it and it's gonna help you in your everyday life. Hence, everyday carry. I'm getting passionate. I need to calm down. Anyways, I hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you think about some of these knives and what is your favorite way of carrying a knife? What is your go-to knives? What is a deal breaker for you when it comes to a knife? If you like fixed blades, like maybe I can do a whole video on that. And if you guys like this style of video, let me know, because if you guys want, I can even go over what I look for when I'm buying a pew pew. There are so many different types of videos that I can make in this style format. So let me know below in the comments. And again, I hope you guys have a great day. If there are any discount codes that I have for any of these brands, I will link them down below so that you guys can save some money when you're picking up your next knife. But until then, I will see you guys in the next video. Take it one step at a time. See you later. Peace.